Hey guys, Inferno here today with a quick impressions video on a new game that's coming out in September called Eternights. I was basically given a preview access for the game, so bear in mind this is not the full representation of the game as it's still in development, but honestly I can tell you it's pretty good from what I've played so far. So without further ado, get right into it. Now, in terms of the length of the demo, it was around 1.5 hours where you get to play through the first act and a bit of the second act of the game. So story so far seems pretty good, though I feel like you're just pretty much thrust into the mix early on without too much of a build up. 1 minute you're pretty much like a normal teenager with a few friends, or a friend in this case, and then next thing you know, the world is pretty much going to shit, pretty much with everyone just dying all over the place. So in that aspect, I kind of feel that they could have like eased into it a bit, but literally they just say, yeah, well, here you go, just straight into like madness pretty much. Now you do have a close friend named Shani that's in the game, who's pretty much your best friend and who's quite a degenerate to an extent pretty much. But to be fair, the protagonist in the game is quite degenerate as well, as you can see in his room. If you go to like his box of tissues, there's like a line which like, honestly, I feel most people probably would say relate to, but I had something like that in the past, but we will not get into that. But overall, he seems like a very up and like bubbly guy for the most part. He seems like, I guess, I guess like Ryuji in a sense from Persona, a bit like that, but not too crazy. But yeah, if you play Persona, you can probably see some similarities with some of the characters. And then we also meet a girl named Yuna as well, and her friend Lena, when we're in the bunker. And Yuna's a bit more level-headed, calm, collected and all that, while Lena is just pretty much like, yo, what the fuck is happening? I'm panicking all the time, and she's like always getting onto like Yuna's case or something pretty much. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be more characters to meet later on. I don't know how many, but I guess there'll be quite a few, depend like from what I've seen on the main menu, like with the characters that have been locked out, but maybe there's probably be even more than that as well. But in terms of story, I don't want to dive too much into it, just so that, you know, when people can get the chance to play and stuff, they can actually like experience it for themselves. But I can easily say, like, you know, the story is like goes pretty hard, because like someone dies like literally within like the first 30 minutes. So I won't say who, but you could probably take a guess who. But yeah, overall the story is good so far. You know, there's a bit of working can be done here and there, but from what I played in like the hour I played, is pretty nice. So I'm actually interested to see what the other parts of the story will be like when the full game comes out. Now the gameplay in Eternights is pretty much full on action while having dating sims as well. So it's like Persona, which obviously it got inspiration from, but without the whole turn-based. So it's like more like, I guess, Devil May Cry, East, all that, not to like the extent of like technicality and stuff, but if you play those games, you can easily play this. But in terms of combat, it's straightforward. We literally have our normal combos that we can use, and at the end of that normal combo, we can follow up with a strong attack, which essentially kills all the mobs in one hit. Now, bearing in mind, I was playing on normal mode, so I do not know if enemies are a bit more tankier in like the expert mode that they offered or something. Maybe so they are, but I said for the purpose of the video, let me just play on normal. Maybe when the game comes out fully, I'll just play on expert. We also have a dodge button and an ultimate attack, which is gained by filling up your little gauge at like the top left corner of your screen, which is done by essentially attacking the enemies and doing perfect dodges of the enemies as well. There are also additional skills that can be done in the game as well. So some of these moves are very familiar to like the Devil May Cry series. So you have a move called Stinger, which basically everyone should know at this point. You also have Virgil's spiral swords, which like he used to summon, it's always spinning around him. That's in the game as well. There's two more other moves which are, I wouldn't say Devil May Cry-ish, but you know, you can see where they kind of got the inspiration from for some of those moves. But essentially those moves are there to pretty much extend your combos from like your normal bread and butter combos that you have in the game. There are new moves as well that are in the game as well, which you gain by using your skill points and stuff that you collect through the dungeons. However, in this demo, I literally could only collect one of them, and it only gave me two, and you need a lot more to get like a different skill or something. So, you know, when the full game comes out, maybe just dive deeper into that part. But in terms of difficulty, the game wasn't too hard. The enemies can hit quite hard a bit, especially some of the bosses, including like the final boss in the demo. There was a part that I almost died in the game as well, but it didn't happen. I would assume when it comes to harder difficulties, you probably just get like 2 or 3 shotted pretty much. So you have to literally be on point with the whole dodging and stuff. I'm kind of surprised there's like no guard button in the game as well, because I think that would have been an excellent addition. So you can say do a perfect guard or something to stun your enemy for a bit, just to like mix it up, because not everyone always wants to dodge. Sometimes I feel doing a perfect guard or parry or something is like more fulfilling. But yeah, anyone that has played action games can easily get into this. It's like no issue whatsoever. In terms of hitboxes in the game, I kind of noticed with some of the enemies and bosses is that sometimes their hitbox is a bit bigger than you anticipate, and that seems to be always the issue when it comes to like action games where you have like perfect dodging and all that, parry and all that stuff as well. Now, bearing in mind this is a small studio, so I'm not expecting it to be like frame perfect or anything, but it's nothing too bad to the point where I'll be like, yo, this is like a big issue, it needs to be fixed. You can easily get over this. It's like nothing too major. I just hope that in the full game it's not worse in a sense with certain enemies, because I know that can happen, but I kind of do have faith that the game will be like pretty balanced overall in terms of gameplay. We also have companions in the game as well, so these companions essentially will help you in the battle depending on what abilities they have. So for this particular demo, we only have Yuna, which she's basically a healer for this part. Essentially, you can use her ability to heal you when you're like in a pinch or something. There's like a circular green field on the field, and you have to literally stay in that field, else you're just going to waste it and not get healed. But at the same time, enemies can pretty much come and attack you, so it's a bit of a gamble here and there. Now, I did notice that I believe these companions will get more abilities as well. So near the end of the demo, there was like a part where you're doing that little whole dating sim stuff where you just talk to her and all that stuff. I did level her up and she did get another ability, but that's what the demo ended pretty much. So I'm assuming she's just not going to be here. She's going to have some other moves that can easily help us during our dungeons as well. Now, social aspect of the game is probably what most people are here for, and as I said earlier, if you played Persona, it's pretty much the same. So depending on the responses that come up on the game, you can gain like abilities to increase your status, so like courage, charisma, all of that stuff in the game. There's quite a lot of options as well. I wouldn't say a lot of options, but you're given a lot of dialogue choices which can give you a point up in a sense for your stats. So it's a bit more than Persona, because I know that wasn't there all the time, but in this game it just seems to be a lot. So literally every dialogue you can easily get like 1 point or something from like one of your responses. And I assume this will probably be used for your companions in the future that you meet and stuff. So say for example you want to, I don't know, go on a date with them or something, or do something like that, like typical dating sim stuff. You're probably going to need to be at a certain level of courage or something to be able to enable it or something. I did touch on it a bit earlier. So Yuna, you do have like a little heart-to-heart conversation with her, which gives a bit more insight to her character and like her past pretty much, which I feel is very needed in these types of games, as sometimes these side characters, they're just like left in the dust sometimes. So hopefully it can be done with like all the characters that you meet in the game, so you can gain a better understanding and see, what happened to them in the past before all this stuff really blew up in the present. And yeah, you also have the little typical anime trope where you walk in and she's changing, so that's there as well, which I know some people probably might hate, but it's bound to happen pretty much. But yeah, from gameplay perspective, I enjoyed what I played. Obviously there can be a few issues here and there. I wouldn't say issues, like minor issues, I'll say, and maybe there will be some improvements also. Hopefully when the full game does come out, can be a few improvements here and there. I know it was a bit rough, but it's to be expected from a preview pretty much. Now, with a decent gameplay foundation, I can't really say the same for the music in the game. Now, I do hope this is mainly because it's just a preview build that half the music's not done anything, but when exploring or even talking to your companions and stuff, music was just very lacking. It doesn't have to be like some super over the top stuff, but something to, I say, keep engaged, because I know for a while when it comes to these games, I would say music does help with the atmosphere and stuff, especially like when you're in dungeons and stuff as well. It don't have to be like Persona like and all that stuff, but something decent, something that can actually engage the players. Even for like the boss battles as well, like the music was like non-existent pretty much, which is quite a shame. But again, this is just a preview build, so I do hope that in the full game that is not the case. Maybe I might email them about that and see what they say, but yeah, we shall see. But yeah, in terms of music in this preview, it's like not there pretty much. You can probably just put your own music and it might even help there as well. Now we've pretty much come to the end of the video. I'd say it was going to be a quick one because there's not too much to talk about. But overall, Eternights is shaping up to be a great game, and it's quite amazing what a small studio can actually do for like such an ambitious project, you know, to essentially be like somewhat of a Persona game in a sense. I just hope that they make sure that they have enough development time and try to not rush, as I feel when people end up trying to rush and stuff, it just ends up killing, I wouldn't say kill the whole project, but it just makes the whole game just like meh pretty much, and you can probably see it in like the actual game itself. So yeah, thanks for the guys at Studio Sci for like sending me a preview code. Also thanks to Jenny for actually sending me the preview code. I honestly wasn't expecting it. She's basically having the PR on that stuff. But yeah, I think this game, honestly, I think everyone will enjoy it, especially if you're into the whole dating sim aspects. I know a lot of people tend to be these days, myself included. Yeah, I enjoyed what I played. Obviously, I would expect full game to be more polished than what I played here, but it's not to say the preview was even bad. It's just like one or two issues here and there. But yeah, overall, I'm impressed, and I actually cannot wait to see what the game holds when it comes out in September. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this impressions video. If you've got any questions and stuff, leave it down in the comments and I'll get back to you. So take care.